What's up, everyone? Good morning. Doing my morning walk. Wanted to drop a message with y'all today that I learned in boxing. Now, for those who don't know me, Shane Larson. I have a sports podcast called The Game Time Guru. Been doing that for 3 years. If you haven't subscribed to it, go check it out. I interview different sports figures across the world, let them share their stories on my platform. But the reason I do that is because I love sports and everything that comes with them. I believe there's so many parallels in sports and business and sports and life. I'm going to share one of those things with you guys today from my own perspective and how we can apply it into our daily lives anyways. So when I started boxing at the age of 15 at Golden Gloves in Idaho, one of the lessons I learned quickly, and anytime that you go into the boxing world, it's crazy because you learn. It's funny because there's so many people who will, they'll tell you that they're, good at fighting or whatever. They'll teach people how to fight, and they'll say one thing or the other, like, "Oh, this is how you fight." If I was in a fight, I'd do this. And you know how Mike Tyson always says, everyone's got a plan to get punched in the mouth. It's so true, right? I came from a fighting background. I did jiu-jitsu and karate when I was younger. I always liked the fight game, but like boxing was a whole nother world as well because it's non-stop punching. Like there's not a lot of self-defense when it comes to boxing. It's like hit, get hit, and you just keep moving forward, right? So one of the things our coach always taught us, especially when new guys would come into the gym, was it's contrary to what most people do. Like your natural instinct when someone starts throwing punches at you is to kind of cover up and turn sideways. And you would be amazed, you always hear that, but you'd be amazed at how many boxers actually do that when they're new. That new guys would come in week after week after week and punches start getting thrown and they get hit once or twice in the face. They don't like it and they cover up and they turn sideways, and our coaches would scream at them, "What are you doing? You need to keep your head up and your eyes forward." Obviously tuck your chin. There's a lot of technicalities that go with boxing, and the one thing that was contrary to the natural instinct was you would lean forward. Your stance needed to be where your weight was on your front foot, meaning your head was closer to the punches. And that was unnatural for a lot of people. Why would I want to be closer to this guy's punches? Well, there's a reason for it, right? Because when you're looking forward, you can see every punch coming at you and you can move your head. There's less movement required, less chance of getting hit, so on and so forth. And it's hard to get used to that because it's hard to go right into the line of fire and be comfortable with okay, they're going to swing. I might get hit a few times, but I can actually move, right? I can move, I can dip, make subtle movements and slip the jabs, slip the crosses, duck the hooks, and then boom, hit them with a counter. It's hard for people. It's hard for people to want to put their face into the fire. But as you guys may know, coach always said, the punches that hurt you the most are the punches you don't see, right? The punches that hurt you the most are the punches you don't see. So when people would cover up and duck, all of a sudden, they don't know where the punches are coming from now. So they can't defend themselves. They get hit in the body, they get hit in the head, have no idea where it's coming from, so they can't protect themselves. They can't, get themselves ready for those shots. And so that's why we always that was one of the hardest things for a lot of fighters. And you saw a lot of guys come in and leave within 2-3 weeks because they just didn't like getting hit and they didn't listen to coach because they just refused to believe that if you just put your head forward closer to the fire and keep your eyes up, that ultimately in the end, you'll be okay. Obviously you got to take a couple on the chin along the way. I wasn't the best boxer. I've never been the best athlete, but I was a good boxer. That's the thing. I'll pride myself in that. I was a good boxer, not the best, but I was good. One of the things my coaches always said was dude, they called me Sugar Shane back then. He said, you can take a hit. You can take shots more than a lot of fighters that I've seen. Because I was a lighter heavyweight at the time. I was 185 pounds. And so we'd fight with the heavyweights and light heavyweights, but I was at the bottom end of the weight limit there. But so I get hit by some big boys, but I just learned to take them. You get hit in the face. My teeth are all crooked anyways. I don't care. My nose is crooked. I didn't care though, because you also learn that once you get, Green Street Hooligan said it once. It's kind of funny on that movie. He says, once you learn that you're not made of glass, it's almost addicting, right? It's true. So many people think that you're going to get punched once and get knocked out. If you're looking forward, that doesn't happen very often. Like if you're like legitimately looking right into the punch and they hit you, you're not gonna get knocked out. It's not like everybody thinks of in the movies when one punch ends it all the time. No, you can take a lot of shots. You'd be surprised at what your body can do if you're mentally prepared and you know what you're doing, if you're like looking forward all the time. So my point with this is, it's interesting because a lot of us want to, scoot back. I'll tell you one experience that I had when I did not look forward. I got lazy. I was fighting really well. It's the end of the first round. We were doing this round robin type training at the gym. A lot of the actual sparring sessions that we had were like 10 times more intense than any fights that we actually had in a competitive setting, which is crazy. But I think a lot of gyms can say the same thing. Anyways, we did this one thing called round robin. And that was where we'd have 3 guys. If we had 3 dudes in the ring, one guy would be in the middle and coach would call one of the guys from the corner, and we'd go for 2-minute round, like a 2-minute round. Ding, we go out there to the guy in the middle. Then the guy who came in from the corner fights another round. So each person's doing 2 rounds. So you get you do 2 rounds, and it's a big cardio thing and whatnot. Anyways, so you just kind of switch off, and we do that for close to an hour. And it was like, if anyone's ever fought before, like even going 3 rounds of 2 minutes at a time will destroy you. Like you're tired, okay? Obviously we had more than just 3 of us. There was like 5 that we ended up rotating for almost an hour, but we were dead. Start boxing, Sean. Klaus, what's going on, brother? Anyways, one time I was fighting this guy, his name is Brock. And I don't even know whatever happened to Brock, but Brock had a temper, and tempers don't do you well in the sport of boxing, typically speaking. I've had my experiences there. I could share a whole nother experience there too. When you lose your temper and you lose composure and you forget the basics, you're gonna get rocked. It happens all the time. You might be the hardest hitter in the world, whatever, but yeah, you're gonna get rocked. Anyways, so my point is, I'm fighting Brock, and I was kind of handling him the entire round. Like I was more technically sound. I had my head forward the whole time. Everything he threw was like loaded up punches. He wanted to throw so hard, and he couldn't hit me. And I was just pop, 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 hitting him and moving, and then controlling the center of the ring. I had good angles. I was long. I have long arms. And I wasn't the best fighter, but I was smart. I knew exactly how to take my angles. I had a good IQ, right? That's what I prided myself in, is my IQ of the sport. And I could hit decently hard. Like I just have long arms, and at the time I was pretty strong. So we're going, and he's getting frustrated, and you can hear he's grunting, he's mad. Coaches are yelling at him like, Brock, control yourself. And here I am winning the whole round. The little timer that we had in there, that it would tell you when there's 10 seconds left. It goes ding, 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 ding. So you know that there's 10 seconds left, right? So that's kind of like coach always advised us. When you hear that bell in any situation, like he trained us to always just, there's your flurries, go after each other. 10 seconds left, you give it all you got, right? So we did. But I was kind of tired. And I remember I was just kind of like swinging back and forth, like put my hands over my head and just kind of moving. He wasn't hitting me. But instead of keeping my eyes forward, at one point I kind of crunched down and kept my eyes at the floor for some stupid reason. And I couldn't see him. And it wasn't like, there's seriously like 2-3 seconds left in the round. Like I was done. I was like, okay, taking some breaths and just kind of looking at the floor, just waiting for that to go off. I'll go back to my corner. Well, just right then, he saw my head down and he threw an uppercut. And I had my head down like this, but it came straight between my gloves because I was just covering the side of my face. He caught me on the jaw and slid it. Now, I dislocated my jaw. That happens a lot in boxing. Like you dislocate your jaw like all the time. It sucks. If anyone's ever done that, it's not like, it's weird to explain, but you literally can't eat for like a week. You can't chew anything in your jaw. Like you have to be on a liquid diet, and it happens a lot. Like I knew what happened as soon as it happened. It's like boom, and I could feel the whole side of my face. It wasn't broken, but I knew it slid, and it was all my fault. I wasn't looking, and I was pissed because I was manhandling him. And if it was a real fight, I still won the round. But like I was hurting so bad that I couldn't even hold down on my mouth guard for the next round, so I had to stop. Like I was like, dude, I can't. Like it's not safe for me to be fighting if I can't bite down on my mouth guard, because you can't keep your chin tight to get shots. And I normally never like back out. So I did one more round, and I was like, yeah, dude, I can't chomp on my mouth guard. Like I physically couldn't do it. So I knew, to me, if I was leaving my mouth open and I got hit again, I was gonna get knocked out. Like, you don't ever want your mouth open. You need to clench that mouth guard. I just remember thinking about that, like, they were actually, like, he ended up getting in trouble that practice because he just had a temper problem the rest of the practice. He was pissed, he wasn't fighting well, but he could hit hard. And that's why I was so pissed. I'm like, dude, I'm a better fighter than him. What the heck? And it's like, why did I let that happen? So it kind of like set me back for almost 2 full weeks in the boxing game, because like I'd go to practice, but I couldn't spar for 2 weeks. I couldn't spar for 2 weeks because I couldn't chomp on my mouth guard. And I remember going to Wendy's at lunch with my friends, and I couldn't eat a burger. I was like, trying to eat my burger, and I couldn't close my mouth because I had, dislocated my jaw, and it was back in place. But like, when you get hit like that, it legit like sucks, and it sucks. It like hinders you for a lot of things, and it's because I didn't freaking keep my eyes up. For that split second I put my head down, coach has always told us, and I was an experienced boxer at the time, coach told us, always keep your head up, keep your eyes forward, lean into the punches, because the punches that hurt you the most are the ones you don't see. And I've got experiences too, which I'll share with you later on in a different time, but where I've actually laid the wood on people too when they weren't looking or they weren't doing what coach told them. But this one happened to be on me. And I encourage all of you right now, like, we're in a weird situation. Life is weird, man. Like, you might get laid off from your job, or you might not have enough business, or your relationship might be struggling, or your faith might be struggling. Something, right? And Klaus, yes, Wendy's. Let me clarify that real quick. Yes, I was eating at Wendy's. As I said earlier, when I fought back then, I was a light. I was at the bottom of the light heavyweight scale, so I was like fighting right at 185, and that was hard for me to even make that weight, because back then, believe it or not, I had a hard time putting on weight, especially because we were so active. Boxing like kept me pretty lean and strong, but yeah, so I didn't care what I ate. In fact, before my very last fight at Boise State, I ended up I was drinking root beers and stuff, because we were trying to get meat. You had to be within 16 pounds of your opponent come weigh in, because in amateur boxing back then, you could be within 16 pounds and still fight. And he was dropping from 225, trying to get down to 203, and I was trying to get up to like the 187s, the 190s, and I was drinking root beer. We weighed me in with my jeans and my shoes and everything. I was just a light heavyweight. I wish that was still the problem that I have now, but it's completely opposite now. Anyways, so yes, back then in high school, we're talking 15 years ago, that was the issue that I had. So yeah, my point is, guys, if you're having troubles right now in life, I always think about the things that I've learned in sports. Seriously, for real. Like, there's so many parallels. That's why I do my sports podcast. It's called The Game Time Guru. I interview sports figures all across the world because I love to hear their stories. Now, if you guys are having any kind of troubles, I just encourage you, like, hey, when the waves start hitting, it's like a kayaker when you're doing whitewater rafting. Typically speaking, you're going to hit the rapids head on, right? You're not going to try to slide to the side and hit them, or else you're going to get tipped over. Typically speaking, they hit the rapids head on if they can, right? So they can get through the rapids. My encouragement here is, when the rapids start coming, life's kind of weird right now. Everyone's kind of uneasy. It's not necessarily like it's terrible, but there's just it's weird, right? I've already talked about it before. It's weird. Keep your eyes up, because the ones that hurt you the most are the ones you can't see. If you're not looking, you're going to get blindsided. So keep your head up, because if you can keep your head up and still get hit, you take a shot, at least you got your chin tucked so it doesn't hurt so bad. Pop, and you take that shot, and then you keep moving forward. But if you're not looking, you get caught with an uppercut, dislocate your jaw, you're not going to be eating for 2 weeks. So anyways, keep your eyes up, eyes forward, head up, and I promise you it'll help you in life. I'm going to try to do it myself too. Like, I'm just trying to say these things so I can also, practice what I preach. Appreciate you guys.